Remakes and remasters are all the rage in gaming these days, so I decided to ask some of my content creator friends what games they'd like to see get either the remaster or remake treatments. With that out of the way, let's see what my friends have to say. Please do subscribe to them if you like their portion of the video, and stick around until the very end for my entry.
What's up everyone, I'm Luca from Feiitogaming and I want a lot of games to get a remaster or remake. So honestly, Colin, what an impossible question to answer. Still, I thought I came in with a game that is rarely mentioned in this conversation, and that is Phantasy Star Online. Phantasy Star Online is a milestone in gaming history. It was one of the first console games with online multiplayer. And while it's a pretty old game, I think it's still a lot of fun and deserves to be revived by Sega. The premise of Phantasy Star Online is simple. Investigate an unknown planet and see if it's suitable as a new home for humanity. Of course, you don't really do the research. All you do is kill monsters, collect their loot, level up and repeat this whole process on higher difficulties. I think Phantasy Star Online deserves a remaster, maybe kind of like World of Warcraft Classic. The simple gameplay loop is so much fun because there are so many rare weapons, armor and spells to find. It kind of feels like Diablo 2, where all that matters is finding the best and rarest loot, bragging about it in front of your friends, and trading stuff with random people. Leveling up to get a higher difficulties in order to get even better and more rare loot is a gameplay concept that would still work in 2024. All this remaster needs would be better graphics, controls that feel actually good, and therefore a slightly revamped combat system. Something that is more dynamic, with a dodge, a way to block attacks, and maybe even a jump button. This remaster could also build on the foundation of this 23-year-old gem. So basically, PSO had these episodes that were more or less like big content updates, with more weapons, areas and enemies. A remaster could introduce episode 5 with a new hub area and lots of new items and then some. I know that there are a lot of private servers with lots of amazing additions, but it would still be a dream come true if Sega themselves would work on this. There actually are some rumors going on that this could happen in a couple of years, and there is nothing in this world I wish to be true more. Alright, thanks so much for having me once again, Colin. Guys, let myself and Colin know in the comments if a remaster of Phantasy Star Online would be something you would want to play. Alright, see you guys next time.
So once upon a time, not too long ago, I had a knock on the door, and apparently it was Colin Lack. He wanted to ask the specific question, what would you like as a remake soundtrack? I really want to know! And I was like, whoa dude, first off, how'd you get inside my house? Because you live like on the opposite side of the world. And second off, I would have to choose the original Legend of Zelda. I would like to have a remake of that. Because how cool will it be to have modern mechanics in the original Legend of Zelda? No more getting lost, because you'll have a very advanced map that will tell you where to go and what to do next. Guidance is missing a lot in the original game, because the original game had a manual, but we don't have manuals in modern games anymore. It's within the game now. The point is, at the start of the original game, you're slapped in the middle of nowhere, and yes, you can explore around, but you gotta think to figure out where to go next. And yes, there is a cave, and instinct says that you gotta go into there to grab your sword from a mysterious old man, apparently, to carry on your adventure, but where do you go next? Who the hell knows? But for real though, Echoes of Wisdom is a great example of what basically a classic game in a modern art style should look like. Let's have more games like that. Let's make the original Legend of Zelda into a modern design. Mostly more like Tears of the Kingdom. I want that kind of art style. I want to see Fallout visuals everywhere. Alright, I'm allowed to give off some quick cameo mentions before I close off. Warrior World should get a remaster. I really love the battle mechanics in that game. Woohoo! Tomodachi Life should get a remaster. I really love how you can make a living world with your Miis. Especially a application that you examine throughout the day instead of a game that you play, because sometimes your characters go into fights and get married. And also music videos. Here's one from 9 years ago with friends. because it makes me mad and slightly sad that they are neglected, kind of. Hopefully they'll come back in the Switch too. Please, Nintendo, do it! The forgotten Hey Pikmin should get a port from the 3DS, just saying. I think it would be perfect. Even just an eShop title would do. And going back to the world of retro, Chick Chick Boom on the Wii. It's a drawing strategy game, and it should be ported to this, the eShop at least. Okay, that's it for me. Colin, thank you so much for inviting me, and everyone else, thank you so much for hearing me out. Now, enjoy the next person, my dudes.
Hello everyone, my name is Cyrus, local Legend of Heroes fanboy. Before we get into things, I just wanted to thank our host, Mr. Phil Collins, for giving me this opportunity to star in his upcoming music video. My dad is a huge fan, and I've always enjoyed listening to his music. Wait, hold on. Ron Collins? Oh, right! I'm supposed to be talking about a dormant series that I wish would come back. Oh, my bad. Cringy intro aside. The game that I wanted to talk about is something that I don't think anyone would see coming. It was a little game from the PS3, Xbox 360 era, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that game today. I've come to make an offer you can't refuse. That's my best Italian accent, you'll have to forgive me. I can do accents, I'm just not particularly good at them. But this game series that I wish would come back is a little game called The Darkness, based loosely off of a comic book of the same name by creators Mark Silvestri, Garth Ennis, and David Wall. You follow the protagonist of Jackie Estacado on a tale of revenge. The premise of the game, our boy Jackie here is a member of the Mafia, and on his 21st birthday, he was targeted for assassination by his Uncle Paulie, out of fear that he might be after his position as the Don. But as night fell, an ancient demonic force, which has inhabited his bloodline for generations, violently manifests itself and massacres his pursuers. Simply known as the Darkness. Creepy, tendril-like entities that give Jackie these crazy supernatural powers. And over the course of the game, you're fighting against Paulie's minions, and it takes some surprising turns. And the story is actually very sad, but very beautiful in a way that you wouldn't really expect simply looking at it. It's a story that has stuck with me throughout the years. And when Colin first asked me the question of what dormant series would I like to see revived, this was the first one that popped up in my head. The gameplay is a first-person shooter, with the Darkness giving Jackie these extra powers, which in the first game is fairly limited, but the second game is where things really open up, and it becomes sort of like this almost arcade shooter, where you just run through the areas, shooting down bad guys, using these cool powers to disembody your enemies, devouring their hearts, which is pretty metal, if you ask me. And seeing Jackie go on this journey with the Darkness literally inside of him, it was very intriguing. This game didn't quite look the best as far as the original, but the second game went for a more cel-shaded style of graphics, which in my opinion hold up way better by today's standards. But one thing the game did that I really love was the loading screens. They would have Jackie sitting in this dark room, just monologuing to himself. You would get little insights into how he feels during certain story moments. He would reminisce, give memories of him and his girlfriend Jenny growing up together, him doing jobs for the Mafia in the past, sometimes telling random stories about a taxi driver or some crazy guy in the subway. It was just fun stuff. And there's actually a section of the game where you can sit down and literally watch the entirety of To Kill a Mockingbird. The whole movie is just right there in the game. But the games themselves were fairly short, they were action-packed, and Jackie as a character was a very interesting protagonist. And just watching him go through the struggles of having to deal with his own darkness, as well as the actual darkness, made for a very compelling story. And the games were met with fairly favorable reviews, and I would honestly say they even delve into the territory of being cult classics. I don't see very many people talk about them, ever, even back then, but the people that did had nothing but good things to say about them. I remember one time I went on a trip, and my best friend was watching the house for us, and I had the game in my Xbox, and he ended up playing through it, and he wasn't really much of a gamer. But I came back and I saw him playing it, and he was just like, bro, this game, this is awesome. So that was really fun to see. The second game unfortunately ended at a pretty big cliffhanger, and the studio ended up getting shut down. So the chances of getting a third game are pretty slim, as I believe 2K has the rights to it. It never got a remaster or a release on PC. It is backwards compatible on the Xbox Series X and S, so there is that at least. And honestly, I think they're definitely worth playing even now. So yeah, that was my pick. Thank you again, Colin, for reaching out to me and having me on. This is really cool. I can't wait to see what other people pick, and I hope to see some of you guys in the near future. This has been Cyrus. Catch you guys next time. Peace out.
Hey everyone, first of all, thanks Colin for letting me do this edit. I've been loving the entries. I'm gonna go on with mine. Now, a lot of people know me as FPS guy, or the horror guy, or the Resident Evil guy, or Dino Crisis. I've been talking about it a lot lately. The thing is, none of these is what I want. What I would love to see, okay, it's not a classic actually, there is also a classic Resident Evil I'd like to see, remade, remastered completely, and that's Survivor. But we're not gonna go down that shit show. It's a horrible game. Could have been done better. No, what I would love to see revived is Conker's Bad Fur Day. The original, non-censored N64 game, which I have in my boxes over here. Right here. This game is life. I'm gonna put it back so that I don't get dust in it. I can box. So, Conker's Bad Freddy. Great game. Love it to shreds. They did Live and Reloaded. They censored the hell out of it. Wasn't all that great. So, I would love to see a full-on, new-gen, remastered, non-censored, in-your-face game. It was great, and it made fun of so many other different movies. Honestly, Nintendo, what are you doing? It's a goldmine. Retro gamers like I am, would love to see this product come back. Please bring it back. Anyways, I'm Godo. Thank you so much. You guys can find me on Twitch, YouTube, and a bunch of other places. See ya.
So I was originally going to go with Lunar 1 and 2 for my entry, but since this video got delayed so much, I wound up having to go with a different game. So I'm going with a game that I've talked about in a few different videos on my channel and on others. That being Folklore. Folklore is an action RPG from the early days of the PlayStation 3. It features hack and slash combat, which is kind of a dime a dozen at this point. However, it has a unique selling point that gives it some similarities to a monster collecting game like Pokemon or Digimon. You go around collecting creatures based mostly off of Irish folklore, as Ireland is the setting of this game. Also, each folk is useful in a given situation. So while you will have your favorites, there will be situations where a folk with the same typing or attribute will be more suited to a boss fight or as a crowd control option against scrub mobs, meaning you really should try and catch them all by replaying levels. It should also be noted that Ellen and Keats play pretty differently from each other, so even though you'll be going through the same areas again and again, their manners of getting through differs greatly. Folklore also didn't sell particularly well, mostly because Sony marketed the title poorly. Couple that with JRPGs being out of favor with the gaming public, and yeah, that game was not going to move the needle much despite being a cool experience. What made it such a cool title though? It was thanks to the cutscenes being mostly styled like a comic book using in-game models. To my knowledge, this is the first and only time I've experienced this, and it makes the game stand out because of it. This was rather impressive during the early HD era of gaming, and just imagine what could be done now. At this point, even budget indie games are capable of achieving close to the same results one could get with a PS3 game, meaning that has more or less become the baseline for graphics. So if Sony were to remake this title, they could really push the envelope in terms of style. Also, with JRPGs now being rehabilitated in the eyes of the gaming public, it'd actually make sense to bring it back. Plus, Sony could always make the gameplay far smoother by attempting a remake, and making it less janky would be a good thing. In all honesty, I'd just love it if Sony put this title up as part of PlayStation Extra or Premium. Once again, I want to thank every single individual who participated in this collaboration, and I apologize it took so long to get it out. Please do check everyone out. Links for their channels will be in the description. Thanks go out to my current channel members, R. Campbell and Danny Boy. If you want early access to videos and exclusive content, then hit the join button or the link in the description. Now check out one of my previous collab videos, and until next time, keep blazing that trail.